So I've seen many people ask me to rank TF2 unusual effects on a tier list, and I haven't seen any up-to-date videos from other people as of yet that is fully orientated around trading. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna rank every unusual hat effect in the game based off mainly these three criteria in priority. Number 1, sellability from my own experience. Number 2, sellability from other people's experience. And number 3, general opinions on aesthetic appeal including mine. And for how I'm grading these effects, our S tier is God tier, which means a top tier effect that everyone has their eyes on and wants. A tier is excellent, which means it's popular and people often want to buy it. B tier is solid, which means a decent effect that can consistently be sold for profit. C tier is mid, which means the effect sometimes can sell well, but it also might not depending on other factors. D tier is mediocre, which means these effects uncommonly sell for good profit. E tier is trash, which means these effects rarely will receive an offer worth looking at. F tier is cancer, which means these effects are so bad that they rarely ever sell, they often get zero offers and can take over 6 months to get rid of. And I'll try to at least somewhat put each unusual hat effect in their respective tier placement within their grading. So that means, for example, I'll put Cloudy Moon over Green Energy, even though they may be in the same A tier ranking. You can imagine it like A plus for Cloudy Moon and A minus for Green Energy. And keep in mind that there are lots of sister effects, which basically means multiple effects are identical except for their color or something very similar which makes their tier placement the same. This is because we all know Valve is lazy, so if there are any sister effects I've already mentioned before, I won't need to explain any further. I will still try to rank if one sister effect is better than the other one though. And why should you listen to me as opposed to someone else? Well, I have flipped thousands of unusual hats in the past 5 years, and I own nearly 1,000 unusuals right now, mostly in marketplace.tf and some others in my main account or my trading bots. So I think I'm quite qualified in speaking my thoughts on making a tier list revolved around trading. And in saying that, you might be interested in my school community where I'll guide you on how to make profit, literally holding your hand step by step to make trading as easy and efficient as possible. If you want to take your first big step towards your dream TF2 backpack, click the top link of the description now. If you can't afford my premium service, I totally understand. I have a free Discord server that I've just launched that is mainly dedicated to trading discussions. If you're intrigued, go join right now, you might learn something new. And before I jump into the tier list, I have to exclaim that this is purely my opinion based on trading experience and that there will often be exceptions to the rule that I set down. Summer 2024 unusual effects are going to be difficult to grade since they're so new, and the upcoming Halloween 2024 unusual effects, I don't even know what they are yet, and even when they do come out, I can't really grade them that accurately. So, let's just begin with the first effect. Abduction, gonna go with mid. I've never sold it before, but the markets are always quite crowded, but it looks okay, so C tier makes sense. It's also important that invasion effects like abduction are only limited to invasion hats. Abysmal Aura, quite good looking. I've made decent profit off of it in the past. I'm gonna go B tier. Aces High, which is team colored, is quite poor looking and it tends to glitch out in game and fly around the map. I've made some profit off of it before, but not much. It's bad. Acidic Climate, a very good looking, nice big effect. I've never traded it before, I don't believe, but it seems to be very good, so I'm gonna go A tier. Aggregation, this effect actually looks really good and I've made surprisingly good profit off of it before. Gonna go B tier. I was hesitating like low A tier, but it's not that crazy good. It is better than Abysmal Aura, so I'm gonna put it above if you know what I mean. Amaranthine, OG Halloween effect from 2014. I've never owned one before, but it looks cool. It's rare, it gets good offers, and is the most popular sister variation of the fart clouds. I'm gonna go the tippity top of A tier. Not S tier because some people I see struggle for several months without a single sale or an offer, so I think that's fair. Amygdala, this effect is quite bad. I've sold it before and it wasn't that amazing and it just looks bad. The prices and crowded markets reflect that too. Gonna go E tier, but it is better than Aces High to be honest. Ancient Codex. This effect is borderline invisible, like look at it. Actually, you can't look at it because you can't see it. It's also locked on invasion hats due to how it was released back in 2015, and the markets are always flooded. I'm even gonna put it below Aces since it's simply harder to sell than Aces. Ancient Eldritch, an absolutely badass effect from 2015. It's getting more and more expensive as the Gargoyle case is getting rarer, yet it still sells normally for high prices. It can be slow to sell, but it's worth it most of the time when bought as a deal. Gonna go with mid-level A tier, but not better than these two. Ancient Spectre, this effect is simultaneously bad and good at the same time. It doesn't sell very often, but it looks alright. There are often many people trying to sell it at once, and no one gets the sale due to so much supply. I'm gonna go with mediocre D tier. That's the best way to describe this effect. Its sister effect variations Phantom Crown and Infernal Wraith are way better. Anti-freeze, this is probably tied for the best effect from the Robo Crate. It looks amazing, it gets good offers, but also isn't so extremely rare like the Fart Clouds that it rarely sells. On higher tier hats it sells well, but lower tier hats suffer quite badly from my experience. I'm going to go to the top of A tier for this for now. Arachne's Web, this effect looks okay but it sells quite poorly. You often see it as one of the cheapest effects on most mercenary grade unusuals, so no one really wants it. I have made decent profit off of it before in the right scenario, so I won't go F tier, but it is like top of E tier as of now. Arcana S tier, no questions. A truly godly effect that is nearly impossible to get for under 500 keys for good reason. 99% of people watching this, including me probably, will never own an Arcana hat since it's so rare and expensive. But if you do own one, you'll get insane offers even if you're not selling your hat. People will literally track your hat down and ask what you're willing to let it go for. Arden Antlers, I got my first hat of these recently, so I don't actually really know how well it sells, but Smithsmith's 2021 effects have low supply since no one really unboxed them, which is quite funny. I'll just go with the bottom of B tier since it looks kinda cool I guess, and there are some past sales. Ardentum Saturnalis, it's a decent looking effect, but it's just one you really don't see that often. I think I've made profit off of it before, so it's just the bottom of B tier I guess. Atomic. Another invasion effect, meaning it's locked to an invasion hat. It's definitely better than abduction, but the margins are still terrible, so it's more often than not mid. Audiophile. I've had one of these I've been trying to sell for 1.5 years, yet not even one offer. Although partly that is because I'm selling it on marketplace.tf, and it does look quite cool and unique, but I guess it's just not popular at all, and I'm not surprised. It's better than the invasion effects though, so top of C tier. Baron's Cherish Chaplet. The first unusual from summer 2024 on this list, the most recent update as of this upload. I don't know how to feel about this effect to be honest, and there's not much evidence to suggest how well it sells, but in terms of looks, I think it barely loses out to Ardent Antlers, but I don't really know. This is likely to be changed. Bewitching Bugs, another effect from summer 2024. I've seen this effect actually being hyped up quite a bit and definitely looks very unique. We still have to wait for more sales for more accuracy, but I'm gonna put it in the top of this current B tier. Blazing Fireworks, it looks very cool, but I don't see it getting traded very often and it's overrated in my opinion. Like, people are literally comparing this to Arcana, which is almost disrespectful to say the least. I think it's the top of B tier right now looking at everything. And it is worth mentioning that this is case locked onto summer 2022 hats. Blizzardy Storm, a classic effect that has always been quite decent at selling, mainly has set up between 20 to 40 keys from experience. I'll go with B tier, just above Abysmal Aura. It is prone to inflation, but it is a solid effect, 100% guarantee. Bonzo the All-Knowing, arguably the best unusual effect in the game, especially amongst collectors and rich players. Good luck finding one of these for less than 1,000 keys that isn't cancer looking. Even if your Bonzo hat isn't listed, it gets incredible offers. Top of this entire list for sure. Brain Drain. This looks almost like a budget anti-freeze. It sells alright though, and it has netted me alright profit before, so I think it's better than Blizzardy Storm. Bubbling Breeze. It's like as if bubbling was on steroids, but it still isn't that good. It's often quite cheap on most hats since most people don't want it. However, I have sold it a few times before for profit, and I think it's definitely better than what's already in C tier. Bubbling is the very bottom of the current E tier. I thought I kind of liked it, but it seriously is just invisible, and if you can see it, it's just bubbles. It sells poorly and often has super high supply and is prone to inflation. Burning Flames, the classic top tier unusual effect. It always has and always will be the go-to high tier effect everybody loves. It's made me crazy profit before, but the only drawback is that it's prone to inflation. But as long as you are careful, Burning Flames is very popular and sells very well. S tier. Butterfly Season. It's a new effect, so I don't know how good it is, but compared to the effects I'm seeing here, it's not getting past mediocre tier for sure. Cauldron Bubbles. I actually quite like this effect myself, as it just looks like green bubbling and green smoking in one effect that is highly visible, but it's mainly expensive because it's rare. However, many people like that and will sometimes pay a crazy amount for one, so I think it's solid as a balance standpoint. It's definitely better than Bewitching Bugs. Circling Peace Sign. Sorry Bob if you're watching this, this effect is mid. Oftentimes because it's inflated with high supply and crowded markets. The concept is cool, but barely anyone wants this effect, which is why you'll even see the cheapest unusual hats in general have Circling Peace Sign as its effect. Not to mention it's susceptible to being glitched in game. I almost put it in the mediocre tier, but it has made me decent profit off before, so I think it's better than Abduction. Cloud 9. Ever heard that people called 3rd gen generational effects terrible? Wrong. This proves it. Such a simple but amazing effect that sells well, especially on medic hats. This effect has made me heaps of profit and is a safe bet when looking for deals. Like, I'm literally gonna go to the bottom of A tier for this. Cloudy Moon. I've had an insane moment with the Cloudy Moon lucky shot where I made over 200 keys profit. This effect has gotten more expensive over the years as it's been locked for over a decade, but the offers are still great and demand is matching up with it, so I think it's definitely an excellent effect. A tier for sure. Cold Cosmos. This effect looks quite cool, but my gosh is it difficult to sell. I still have a Cold Cosmos headbanger, which you can find from my first videos in December 2023, which was like 10 months ago, or 11 months ago, or something like that, and I've gotten 0 offers. It's possibly because that hat is an assassin grade, and it suffers from rarity inflation, but I've never profited off of this effect before. It was overhyped when it came out. It's mid. Condescending Embrace. This effect just looks kinda mid, and I've owned it before, but it hasn't made me much profit. So I'm gonna go mid, which might even be too generous, but it is what it is. Contagious Eruption. This effect looks quite cool, but I've never owned one, I don't think. I'll place it at the bottom of solid, as I know that one heavy hat gets plenty of sales despite high supply. Cosmic Constellations. This effect is amazing, and I've sold so many soft hard hats before, despite its high supply. It's also expensive on limited hats, meaning there's definitely some demand going on there. I'm gonna go bottom of A tier for this one, just above Cloud 9. And now Dark Blaze, an amazing portal effect I'll probably never own. It looks amazing, and it's super rare and expensive just like Arcana, but it's just a baby step below. And in terms of its sister effects, Dark Blaze is better than Hellfire and Demon Flame. Chiroptera Venenata. This is probably the 3rd best sister variation of the 3 bad effects. Some may argue it's 2nd, but I don't care. I've never owned it before, but OG Halloween effects always get good offers, even if it takes ages. Still not better than the portal effects, but it's top tier for sure. Circling TF logo. I think this slightly beats out Circling Peace Sign, but not by much. It's very prone to inflation and often has super high supply with little demand to match. Although it has made me decent profit before, so I'm gonna go slightly higher than CPS. Celestial Starburst. This effect came out not too long ago. It looks amazing, it's expensive on limited hats, and even its case hats don't go for less than 20 keys, I believe. So definitely an A tier effect. I even think it's better than the big rain cloud effects. Circling Heart. I think actually this effect is mid in terms of trading. I only own 2 Circling Heart Unusuals right now, and I haven't sold any in the past few months. It's just so hard to get a C Hearts deal because it's so prone to inflation, while the aesthetic appeal and demand does not warrant that price most of the time. That's why I'm going top of mid for this. If it wasn't so inflated, it could actually be close to Cloud 9 in terms of trading ranks. Dazzling Constellations. Just like Cosmic Constellations, it looks amazing. I would say Cosmic is a tiny bit better though because it's team colored while Dazzling is only green. Dead Presidents is quite bad. It's always at the bottom of what's listed on many unusuals and for good reason. It doesn't look that great, it has crazy supply and it's not popular. Profit is possible, so I'm just gonna put it below Aces High. Demon Flame, I've owned two of these before and probably never a third. It's a tiny bit worse than Hellfire and Dark Blaze, but it's still insanely good for the same reasons. Eldritch Flame, I think this is the same as Ancient Eldritch, but a tiny bit better because it's yellow and more visible. Disco Beatdown, I think this is excellent. People have really grown to like this effect despite its high supply on most hats, but it's also prone to inflation, so you make sure you have to be cautious in what Disco Beatdown hat you're selling in order to get a good offer. It's more prone to inflation to Cloud9, so I put it slightly under for that reason. Death by Disco, this effect is quite expensive nowadays, so it doesn't sell very often, but it does do so from time to time. I've made some nice sales off of it before, so I'm gonna go to the top of B tier. Eerie Orbiting Fire. It's not very visible, but it is an OG 2011 Halloween effect, so it does get some praise for that by some people. I would put it just under Cauldron Bubbles because I think Sea Bubbles looks like a lot better. Daydream Eruption, just a tiny bit better than Contagious Eruption in my opinion. I just like the coloring more. Clairvoyance, this is such a hard one to rank, but I'm gonna go high B tier. Some hats can get stupidly high offers and it does look quite good. Its main drawback is crowded markets on certain hats, namely its case hats, so to get a nice Clairvoyance hat, you need to pay a lot. I think this is Cuban Smoke. It looks a tiny bit better than Bewitching Bugs in my opinion, so I guess I'll just roll with that. Cursed Forever is a Halloween purple energy. It has made me a bunch of profit and is definitely quite popular, so I'm putting it above even the Eldritches in A tier. Celestial Summit is an amazing effect and almost looks like Arcana. And on every limited hat, it's very expensive, and even in its case hats, it's still quite expensive despite high supply, and it releasing not too long ago. I would go as far as to put it above Celestial Starburst to be honest in A tier. Crustacean Sensation. This effect is SHIT. It was released in summer 2022 where it's locked on summer 2022 hats, and every single listing is several months old, zero offers, and it looks plain bad. Our first F tier. Dazzling Fireworks. People compare this to Spellbound, and I strongly disagree. It does look quite good to be fair, but it's often expensive and doesn't sell that often it seems, so I'm just gonna put it above its sister effect. Death at Dusk. This is an awesome end of the line effect that has made me lots of profit before, even if it does sell a little bit slowly. It seems to be good on good hats and mediocre on bad hats. I'm just gonna go below Celestial Summit in A tier. Defragmenting Reality. This might be quite obvious. F tier. It looks borderline invisible and it doesn't sell ever. Demonic Impaler. I currently own one hat, and actually as I was making this video, it sold already for a very high price, so I can't really change the ranking now, but it's definitely better than Abysmal Aura. Devilish Diablo. This effect is nice, and it does have active market movement going on, even if margins are a bit tight, so I'm going B tier, higher than the Fireworks. Distant Dream is a nice effect as well, although it's slightly too small in game if you've ever seen it. But it does have better margins than Devilish Diablo, so I'm gonna actually rank it just slightly under due to popularity. Distant Drift. This is a new summer 2024 effect, which is actually team colored, so I don't know where to put it exactly, but people by far rank this effect as the best effect from the summer 2024 update, so I'll just put it above Cloud9 and Disco Beatdown for now, which seems like a safe bet. Divine Desire is very similar to Distant Dream, but a smidge bit better in my opinion, and I've made great profit off of it before. Certainly more than Distant Dream and even Devilish Diablo, so I'm gonna put it above both of them actually in B tier. Divine Sunlight is an effect I've never traded before, but it looks quite good, although it does seem to sell very slowly for what the market sells me, so I'm gonna put high C tier. Eerie Kraken is a solid effect that I've profited off of it before, and it's quite decent, so I'm gonna go above Brain Drain. Electric Hat Protector is quite a bad effect, especially for making profit. It's only found on invasion hats. There are like 3 other sister effects, and the supply is super high, yet no one really wants them, resulting in crowded undercutting markets. And I'm gonna go E tier just because sometimes it is possible to get a sale, or you could just consider these worth the buy order price. Electrostatic is not a very good effect, and it's getting quite expensive as it's a robo crate effect, but it has made me profit recently, so I think it's C tier. Energetic Haunter is a cool looking effect, but it rarely sells from my experience. Although when it does, it's good profits, so I think it's mid of the mid tier, which sounds about right. Feral Essence is actually quite nice looking and has been around for quite a while now. I had one fluky sale with its sister effect before, and I think it's high B tier, which sounds quite good. Hit the Trail is from Halloween 2015 and looks really good. It's even better than Eldritch effects, and despite being more expensive, it still sells quite well, so it's up there in A tier. Eyes of Molten is a great looking effect, but the only problem is that the supply of these on limited hats is difficult to find, whilst its case hats have too much supply and little margin. So to balance around its sellability, I think high B tier is fair. Fairy Light is not even a year old yet, but it's quite solid. Its case hats are flooded, its limited hats are scarce, so it seems to be around mid B tier. Festive Falling Star is a little bit underwhelming, but it does sort of have a place in the market. It's not very popular, so I'm gonna go mediocre just under Ancient Spectre for this one. Festive Lights is a few years old now, but it's still quite solid. It's not very popular, but it can still get some decent sales, so I put it like low B tier. Fifth Dimension is actually a pretty damn good effect. In game, it's massive and there's a good amount of demand for it, so I'll go bottom of A tier. Fireflies is cancer. From the picture, you can't even really see it and it's not popular whatsoever. Its market conditions are often terrible and there's no point in owning one other than to say your hat is one of one. I think it's better than the previous F tier effects though, just because there are more hats you can own this on, but it's cancer nonetheless. Flaming Lanterns is a pretty good effect, and the last 2011 Halloween effect in the game to be tier listed actually. I think it's the best effect that isn't Cloudy Moon, and my sales reflect that, so just a tiny bit better than Cauldron Bubbles and Eerie Orbiting Fire at high B tier. Flavoursome Sunset has made me good profit before, but it sells quite slowly, so I'll put it in the bottom of B tier. Flourishing Passion is a nice looking effect, but it's case locked unfortunately on summer 2022 hats, but the supply isn't that high, so mid solid tier sounds right. Flying Lights. This team colored unusual effect is also from the summer 2022 collection, meaning it's locked, but it doesn't look very good, so I'm gonna put it in the middle of D tier. Forever and Forever is a nice Halloween effect that resembles green energy and sells very well. I'm going just under Cursed Forever, which is its sister effect, in the middle of A tier. Fragmented Gluons, Fragmented Photons, and Fragmented Quarks all go in the middle of A tier. They're all great effects that are still quite popular and have made me a bunch of profit before. Fragmenting Reality, just like Defragmenting Reality, is the bottom of F tier for being worse than trash. Fragrantium Elementalis is a good looking effect that sells quite decently and has made me decent profit before, so I'm gonna go middle of B tier. Frantic Spooker and Frightened Poltergeist join Energetic Haunter as the bottom half of C tier. They are better, but they still sell not that great, like they're literally sister effects. Frostbite is the top of A tier, a beautiful effect which is commonly noted as the best end of the line effect that sells really well on good hats and okay on bad hats. Frosted Decadence is a trash team colored effect. It's locked on Semester 2022 hats, and I may have made small profit once, but like that's probably never gonna happen again. E tier. Frosty Flavors is a solid team colored effect that I've sold a couple of times for decent profit. I think it's middle of B tier, higher than Blizzardy Storm because Blizzardy Storm suffers from inflation. Frozen Fractals, I would actually put it in the top of B tier. It's a crazy good looking effect, but it's just a bit too small, and limited hats are very rare, whilst its case hats are oversupplied. I have made good profit off it before, so although the Starboard Crusader L, I think this is a fair placement. Frozen Ice Fall is an excellent popular effect. People go crazy over limited hats, and even its case hats with high supply are very expensive, such as the Bumble Beanie. I'd just go under Death at Dust in this case in the upper A tier because it looks really good. Galactic Codex is awful, and it can join Ancient Codex in the bottom of E tier. It's lucky to not be an F tier because it's locked on Invasion hats, so you pretty much can't buy one of these while you're trading that will screw you over. Galactic Codex is upper A tier. It looks super good, and there is certainly demand for all three sister effects. It's quite expensive even on its case hats, and extremely expensive on limited hats. Genus Plasmos is mid of mid tier. I have made profit before, but it looks like it literally took over a year for both occurrences, so it can fetch some profit, but very slowly. Ghastly Ghost Jr. comes from the same collection as Bonzo, and although it's not as popular, it's actually still really good. Some single class hats fetch hundreds of keys due to its scarcity and great looking features. I'd go even above Burning Flames here, to be honest. Ghastly Grove I think is mid tier. It can get profit, but no one really wants it, honestly. I've made profit off of it before, but it's really slow. Glimmering Fireworks joins its sister effects for the same reason as Blazing and Dazzling Fireworks. Glittering Juniper, I don't think I've seen this effect sell well before, and it's quite mediocre, so I'm going D tier. Global Clusters is a great effect and is joining its sister effect Celestial Starburst in A tier. Glowing Fireworks joins its sister effects in B tier for the same reasons. Gold Struck is a very unique effect that I've made decent profit like recently, so I'll put it in B tier for now at least. Guardian Angel is a cancer effect. Everyone calls it a PNG effect because that's literally what it is. And no one wants it, especially for the price it lists for due to scarcity. F tier for sure. Gravely Ghoul sits comfortably in B tier. Its sister effect Vex Volcanic seems to sell significantly better, but Gravely Ghoul is still definitely solid, although you should avoid crowded markets. Green Black Hole is an excellent effect in A tier. I think it ranks just slightly below Antifreeze, but it's still a very scarce, popular effect that gets great offers, especially on good hats. Green Confetti is an awful effect in the E tier, let's be honest. People will argue it's first gen, but it doesn't matter because it often suffers from inflation, crowded markets, and poor aesthetic appeal, so E tier might even be a bit generous. Like, I can't even remember the last time I sold a green confetti hat. Green Energy is in A tier. It's a timeless, great effect that is very popular on many hats. The only problem is often inflation, but other than that, a great effect. Green Giggler is a solid effect in B tier. It's like 4 effects in one, with like an opaque green energy, you got a green confetti, you got green balloons and green pumpkin faces, and it's popular while making good profit. The only drawback is that it tends to sell slowly. Hard Carry is a team colored effect I would put in low D tier. People think it's better than it really is, but honestly it's quite mediocre. I've made solid profit off of it before, but that's more because I bought it for really cheap than it was selling for really high. I would almost put it in E tier, but if I can make profit, then you probably could too. Harvest Moon I would put in the very top of A tier. I was hesitant putting it in S tier because it doesn't have that godly status that some other effects do, but it is better than a Cloudy Moon for sure. Haunted Forever is a team-colored effect which can join its sister effects in A tier. Now this one may be a bit controversial, but I'm putting Haunted Ghost in the top of C tier. It looks decent, but honestly not even that impressive, whilst constantly suffering from inflation and flooded markets from my experience. It is a classic effect that has made me lots of profit, so I won't put it any lower. Haunted Kraken can join a sister effect Eerie Kraken in B tier. Haunted Phantasm Jr. is the green variant of Ghastly Ghost Jr. and can join the S tier. Haunted Wick is a team-colored effect I would put in A tier. The first time I saw this effect in-game, it really impressed me, and it definitely has lots of popularity that made me good profit. Head of Steam can join its sister effect Brain Drain in B tier for the same reasons. Hellfire is in S tier. It's more popular than Demon Flame, but not more popular than Dark Blaze. I've owned one before, and maybe never another one again. It's super expensive and gets offers just like everything else in S tier really well. Hellspawned Horns, which is a team-colored effect, can join demonic horns in B tier, as they are sister effects. Holiday Horns can join Ardent Atmas in B tier, as they are sister effects. Horseman's Hack is a B tier effect. I think it just slightly beats the Kraken effects from the same collection, and this unique effect has made me good profit before, and often has good market conditions. Hospitable Festivity can join his sister effect Condescending Embrace in C tier. Ice Struck, which is a team colored effect, can join his sister effect Gold Struck in low B tier. Ignited Crest is a new effect, but just purely off its looks, I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's notoriously mocked for being 2D, but currently it's quite expensive, so people might pay high prices for it despite the mockery. Infernal Wraith, even though it's technically a sister effect of Ancient Spectre, just sells far better with better market conditions and aesthetic appeal with green versus brown and more sales, so I'm gonna even put it a tier higher. Iridescence is going at the bottom of A tier, but this was really hard to rank to be honest. It's popular and expensive, indicating that demand is there, but the markets are often flooded due to it being locked on his summer case hats, and that can make it hard to sell due to supply. But if it was an empty market, then you could be making excellent profit. I've made great profit off of it before, so I think this can just justify A tier. It's a mystery to everyone, and it's a puzzle to me can both go in B tier. They are nice effects from Halloween 2015, but they've gotten quite a bit expensive for what they are, and it's not a top pick for most people. It's a secret to everybody, I think it's an S tier effect. It's the same collection as Harvest Moon, but it's not like a direct copy off of Cloudy Moon or like an inspiration of Pumpkin Moon. But overall, it's just better from market conditions and aesthetic appeal and sales, so I have to put it a tier higher. Jellyfish Field, a team colored effect, Jellyfish Hunter, and Jellyfish Jam can all go in C tier as they look okay, they sell okay. I've made a little bit of profit after a long period of time, like C tier sounds about right. Kilowatt, which was actually once considered a cancer effect, has risen up to the mid C tier. It's gotten a lot more popular, often has plenty of sellers, and is often prone to inflation, so there's actually a lot of opportunity to make profit, which I have plenty of times. Knife Storm is an amazing S tier effect, and even above Carptera Venenata. It's a lot more expensive, indicating more demand, and I think it just looks better and overall has more scarcity. Knight's Prideful Spirit can join his sister effect, Baron Serish Chaplet in B tier. I don't even know which one is better, but this placement sounds about right for now. Larvo Lantern can join Green Giggler in high B tier as they are sister effects without much marginal difference. Lavender Landfall is joining Frozen Fractals in the top of B tier. They are sister effects, and I actually think Lavender Landfall is a tiny bit better just due to the coloring. Limelight is joining its sister effect, Flying Light in D tier. I don't really know who would want to buy these to be honest. Loyalist Coronet can join Knight's Prideful Spirit and Baron Cherish Chaplet, as they are all sister effects, but Team Colored may give it a little bit more value. Lunar Lights, which is a Team Colored effect, can join the B tier with Fairy Lights. Lure of the Deep, a Team Colored effect alongside Magenta Monstrum, I'm putting all above the Crown effect simply because they're very similar from the same new collection. Magnetic Hat Protector can join the E tier with Electric Hat Protector. Malevolent Monoculi I've sold recently and actually looks really good. I'm putting it in high B tier. Masked Flies is a terrible effect in E tier, but not F tier because it can still sell due to having a very large effect radius. It themes really well with some hats, particularly with like food cosmetics, but come on, it's Masked Flies, so bottom of E tier. Melting Mohawk is a team colored effect which can join Ignited Crest in the B tier. Memory Leak is a garbage effect that is inflated, borderline invisible, and very hard to sell, which I'm putting in the top of Cancer tier. Menacing Miasma joins the B tier with Abysmal Aura. Miami Nights is a super hard effect to rank due to so much supply, so many exceptions to the rule, and hard inflation. Not to mention it's my least favorite out of the Cloud9 and Disco Beatdown trio, including while selling, so I'll put it in the bottom of B tier as a balance standpoint, but honestly it can literally jump from A to B to C to even D tier. Mint Frost can join Frosty Flavors in B tier. Merfolk Mistletoe is a keen colored effect which can go in F tier. Just like Guardian Angel, this is literally a PNG effect with zero demand. Misty Skull is a very nice OG effect. It's a rare Halloween effect, so of course it's good, but it's only about a smidge bit better than Cloudy Moon in my opinion. Molten Mallet is the worst end of the line effect, but there are only 4 end of the line effects and it's quite alright. It's inflated quite a bit and it tends to glitch out by circling around the map, but the duck is nice and big and it does have some popularity, so I'll go high B tier. Morning Glory is pretty much the sister effect of Death at Dusk, but I put Death at Dusk over Morning Glory a slight majority of the time. Moth Plague is D tier. I don't blame you if you think this is like comparable to Mass Flies or Swarming Bees, but it does sell better as it is Halloween themed. I made very good profit off of its case hats before when the market conditions were just right. Mountain Halo is D tier. I think it's overrated as it looks decent, but in reality it doesn't sell very well, and people tend to list high without a single offer long term. Musical Maelstrom is E tier. I've never seen one of these sell and it doesn't look good. I wouldn't put it in the F tier because scarcity may prompt some people to buy it, but it's still really bad. Mystical Medley joins Ethereal Essence in the top of B tier. Natural Lights joins Flying Lights and Limelights in B tier. Nebula is S tier. It looks absolutely stunning, but it can only be unboxed on like free hats with very high supply and market competition, so Nebula and Usuals are just considered liquid. It's not very profitable, but it does sell well and gets good offers, which is what we're looking for. Nether Trail joins Ether Trail in A tier. Now Neutron Star is B tier. It looks alright, and I know there's some demand out there, especially amongst collectors. Its case hats sell very fast as well, but the only problem is its little profit. Nightmarish Storm joins Acidic Climate in A tier. North Star, which is a team colored effect, I would put in A tier. It has a lot of potential to make profit. Nuts and Bolts is a trash effect at E tier. Although it's bad, people still actually buy it. Ominous Stare joins Eyes of Molten at the top of B tier. Omniscient Orb I think is slightly worse than Clairvoyance, but they're very similar and are both in upper B tier. Open Mind joins Head of Steam and Brain Drain in B tier. Orbiting Fire is C tier. It's okay, but like not really that popular that some people make it out to be. Orbiting Planet is D tier. It actually sells pretty decently on nice hats, but there's nothing impressive about it, so I can't really put it any higher. Otherworldly Weather is A tier, joining Acidic Climate and Nightmarish Storm. Overclocked can join Memory Leak in the F tier, just nothing more to say. Overdrive is a new effect, but I think it's better than the Crown and Fish effects from the same collection, and for that I'll put it in B tier, just below Blizzardy Storm. Pale Nimbus is a good looking effect, but it doesn't really sell that often. I'll put it in B tier, just above Blizzardy Storm. Perennial Petals is D tier. It looks alright, but you just never see it selling for good reason. Phantom Crown can join Infernal Wraith in C tier. It probably deserves to be higher, but due to its case hats being flooded and inflated, I wouldn't put it any higher. Phosphorus is A tier. It's a very good robo effect and gets frequent good offers most of the time. Plum Prankster can join the sister effects Larva Lantern and Green Giggler in high B tier. Poison Shadows is the best bad effect that can join Chiroptera Venenata in S tier. I would say that Knife Storm is better on lower tier hats, but Poison Shadows is better on higher tier hats. Polar Forecast is a pretty mediocre effect that can go in D tier. I've made profit off of it before, but often it takes a very long time to sell as the effect isn't very popular even on snow themed hats. Power Surge can join its sister effect Electrostatic in C tier. Prettiest Star can join its sister effect North Star in A tier. Prismatic Pine isn't a very special effect and rarely sells, so it can go in D tier. Psychedelic is a new effect, so it's hard to rank, but I'd say it's just below Bewitching Bugs in B tier as an educated guess. Pumpkin Moon is a crazy good looking effect on its own that sells very well on limited hats, but quite poorly on its case hats just due to supply. However, I think high A tier is representative of its sellability overall. Pumpkin Party is a solid effect in the B tier that has frequently made me decent profits, and it sells relatively quickly. Purple Confetti is an E tier trash effect, just like green confetti. However, it does have more collectors, so I would put it just a little bit above. It's very prone to inflation with a lack of aesthetic appeal, so barely anyone wants to buy it. Purple Energy is an A tier effect, and even though it is the sister effect of Green Energy, it seems to be far more popular and expensive, which suggests that it's slightly superior despite being only a color difference. Anecdotally, Purple Energy has made me an insane amount of profit, so I'm happy to put it very high up on the list. Pyroland Daydream is a team colored effect I'll put in low B tier. It's not very popular or great looking, but it can sell decently on some hats. Pyroland Nightmare, which I need to make clear, is not a sister effect of Pyroland Daydream because they're from two different collections. I would put it in D tier. It sells very slowly and it's not very popular at all. Radiant Legacy and Radiant Rivalry, which is a team colored effect, I would put them all in the bottom of A tier. These effects have surprised me and actually sell really well for high prices, especially from what I've seen from other traders. Rainbow Reverie is a new effect, so I'm just gonna put it in the B tier next to the other summer 2024 effects, I guess. Same with Rare Shine, we just don't know how well it sells yet, B tier. Raspberry Bloom can join a sister effect Flavorsome Sunset in B tier. Refracting Fractals is a pretty effect, but is from summer 2022, which means it is locked on summer 2022 hats, leading to oversupply, so it's going in C tier. Resonation can join its sister effects Lucidation and Aggradation in B tier. Restless Wraiths is a really good team colored effect, as many of the Scream Fortress 2021 effects are, and sells well. I would go high B tier. Revenant's Rack can join its sister effects Demonic Impaler and Hellspawn Horns in B tier as the best of the variants. Riverium Irregularis is a team colored effect that can join its sister effects Ardentum Saturnalis and Fragrantium Elementalis in B tier. I did put Fragrantium Elementalis, which is the purple variant, a lot higher because it tends to be more expensive and sell more often from my experience. Ring of Fire I'm putting in low A tier. I don't recall selling this hat before, hat effect before, but I know it's popular and often has favorable market conditions. Roboactive can join its sister effect Antifreeze in the top of A tier. Sakura Smoke Bomb I would put in low B tier. It has some demand, but often it can have flooded markets, so I do think it looks better than these summer 2024 effects as well, so I'm gonna put it above them. Sapped, which is quite a new team colored effect, can go in E tier. It's cheap for good reason and it rarely sells for a good profit. Shrieking Shades I would put in high B tier, just above Restless Wraiths as I see it tends to be more popular. Scorching Flames, the sister effect of Burning Flames, I would put in S tier. If you were to ask me which one was better, I would honestly have to put Burning just a tiny bit higher as it's so iconic, but Scorching is virtually the same. Searing Plasma I'm putting in C tier. Nowadays, it's often so inflated that it's hard to pick up a Searing Plasma deal, just like these other old generation effects, but it sells okay if you can pay the right price. Serenus Lumen can join Genus Plasmos in C tier. It's made me profit before, but it really just takes ages to sell a lot of the time. Scorching Scalp can go in B tier alongside Ignited Crest. Severed Serration can join Devilish Diablo in high B tier. Shining Stag can join Ardent Atlas and Holiday Horns in B tier. Shining Star, which is a weird name for this unusual, can join its sister effects Limelight and Flying Lights in D tier as, again, they're locked on summer 2022 hats. Silver Serenade can join Musical Maelstrom in E tier. Sixth Sense, which is a team-colored effect, can join Amygdala in E tier. Smith Tree can go in E tier. It's a very unpopular effect that tends to be oversupplied, meaning it's just unsellable garbage most of the time. Smoking is C tier. It suffers from inflation, but it does look alright. It's made me profit several times before, but not very quickly. It's not really anything special. Snow Blinded and Snow Fallen can go in the bottom of B tier. They're not very popular, but with the right hats, you can make a really good profit. And they're for sure infinitely better than the fragmenting reality garbage from the Smithmas 2019 update. Something Burning This Week comes is S tier material, and I would say it's the second best bad effect in the game. Soulful Slice can join Horseman's Hack in B tier. Soundwave can join Audiophile in C tier. The next one is Sparkling Fireworks, but I'm just gonna put all the 7 firework effects in the same B tier level, which is crazy that they released 7 and they're all case locked. Sparkling Spruce can join Glittering Juniper and Prismatic Pine in D tier. Sparkling Lights is a B tier. It's decent and has made me profit before. Spark of Smithmas is a team colored D tier effect. It's just overpriced due to its scarcity and it's not really popular at all. Special Snowfall can join Lavender Landfall and Frozen Fractals in the top of B tier. They're very good effects. Spectral Wick joins Haunted Wick in A tier. It looks insanely good in-game and it's very popular. Spellbound is the sister effect of Arcana and can comfortably sit at the top of the S tier. I will say that slightly more people prefer Spellbound and it shows in the prices, so putting it above Arcana makes sense. Spiraling Lights is a pretty bad effect and it sells quite poorly, so I'm putting it in the D tier. Sprinkled Delights can join Frosted Decadence in E tier. Stardust, Starfire, Star Lush, and Star Trance, which is a team colored effect, can all go in the bottom of B tier. They're nice effects, but they're locked onto Summer 2022 hats. Stardust Pathway can join D tier with Spark of Smithmas as they're almost identical. Stare from Beyond is a fart cloud effect that I would rank third out of the 3, but nonetheless it's still very good and can go in A tier. Starlight Haze is a great effect I would put alongside Radiant Rivalry and Radiant Legacy in low A tier. Starstorm Insomnia and Starstorm Slumber can go in low A tier as well, since they're great effects that have gone up in price since Halloween 2016 and yet people are still buying them. Steaming I would put in C tier for the same reasons as Smoking, but it's a tiny bit less popular. Stellar Ascent can go in high A tier alongside Celestial Summit, as I think these are the 2 best effects that have come out recently in cases. Or even the best effects that have ever been from cases. Stormy 13th Hour isn't as good as the bad effects, but it is better than the Junior Ghost effects and nonetheless an S tier effect. Stunning is literally a pointless effect that is case locked onto Summer 2021 hats, and for that I'm putting it in E tier. Stormy Storm is definitely a solid effect. It's not a direct sister effect of Blizzardy Storm because they are different, however very similar. I would put Blizzardy Storm a tiny bit higher as it seems to be more sellable, but Stormy Storm hats are great choices when it comes to trading. Subatomic can join Atomic in C tier. Sulphurous can join Phosphorus as A tier. They're both great effects that sell really well. Now Sunbeams is an interesting one. It's definitely A tier for sure and looks amazing, but I would put it under Purple Energy but above Green Energy as Sunbeams tends to be more inflated than Purple Energy, making me less profit, but better than Green Energy due to popularity. Nonetheless, I would put them all in A tier, Purple Energy first, Sunbeam second, and Green Energy third. Silicone Sucaduous can join the sister effects Celestial Starburst and Global Clusters in A tier. Synesthesia can join Audiophile and Soundwave in C tier. Tainted Frost, which is considered a low tier effect, has made me so much profit before on various different hats, I just have to put it in high B tier. Tempered Fawns can join Devilish Diablo and Severed Serration in high B tier. Terrestrial Favor can join Flourishing Passion in B tier. Terawatt can join Kilowatt in C tier. Tesla Coil is an excellent A tier effect and almost matches Green Energy, but just not quite. It's still very popular and is the best effect from Halloween 2016. The Bone Zone can go in high C tier. It's not very good, but some people do like it and will buy it. Personally, I've sold a few for okay profit. The Dark Doorway and the Eldritch Opening can go in A tier alongside Galactic Gateway. They're all amazing effects that blew up the unusual scene back in 2018. The Ooze is a high A tier effect alongside Amaranthine and Stare from Beyond, and I would say it's in the middle of those two. Time Warp is a super good effect and can join the top of A tier alongside Green Black Hole. Treasure Trove is a very good effect that came out a year ago, and I would put it in low A tier, especially on limited hats. It gets very expensive since people like it so much. Tropical Thrill can join Flourishing Passion and Terrestrial Favor in B tier. Twisted Radiance is a lovely effect that can join Ethereal Essence and Mystical Medley in high B tier. Twisting Lights can join Spiraling Lights in D tier. Valiant Vortex, Verdant Vortex, and Violet Vortex can all go in C tier. Verdant Virtuoso can join Musical Maelstrom and Silver Serenade in E tier. Venta Maris can join Genus Plasmus and Serenus Lumen in C tier. Vex Volcanics is a high beta effect, and its levels above its sister effect Gravity Ghoul due to the coloring and scarcity. Vicious Circle I would put in A tier alongside Ring of Fire. Vicious Vortex can join Menacing Miasma and Abysmal Aura in B tier. Violent Viridian can join the other fish effects in B tier. Violent Wintertide and Blighted Snowstorm, which I forgot to add actually, can join Pale Nimbus in B tier. Viridescent Peeper joins Eyes of Molten and Ominous Stare in high B tier. Vivid Plasma is better than Searing Plasma, and I would even say Circling Hearts, and goes in higher C tier. Volcanic Eruptions joins the other volcanic effects in low B tier. Volaic Hat Protector joins the other Hat Protector effects in E tier. Warped Drive joins Overdrive in B tier. White Lightning joins Ring of Fire and Vicious Circle in A tier. Wicked Wick joins Spectral Wick and Haunted Wick in A tier. And finally, the last unusual effect, Wicked Wood joins Ghastly Grove in C tier. Here is a close-up of each tier of unusual effects. We got the S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, E tier, and F tier. Okay, so I realized while editing that I completely forgot the summer 2020 effects, so I'll rank them right now. We have Verdatica, Aromatica, Chromatica, and Prismatica, which can all go in the bottom of A tier since they're very nice effects that sell great even though they are locked on their case hats. Bee Swarm is the bottom of E tier. It's a pretty bad effect that you never see in game and it just doesn't sell well at all. Then we have Frisky Fireflies, Smoldering Spirits, and Wandering Wisps all in C tier, just below Bubbling Breeze, as they can sell good for good profit, but it definitely takes a long time to sell from my experience. And the final last unusual effect, Kaleidoscope, can be B tier just above Rainbow Reverie. It's a nice effect that is quite popular, but the only problem is that the supply is very high due to only being able to be unboxed on case hats, and therefore there are often plenty of sellers competing with you and undercutting you. As a reminder, this is my opinion of these unusual effects through my years of trading experience on how well they sell. And thank you so much for watching this video. This took me weeks to make, so please leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and leave a comment if you agree or disagree with anything in this tier list. Remember to check out the school group and Discord server in the description, as well as the template of this tier list in the description, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!